Memento mori is the original, so remember the death. But this one says remember the life.
Igor Zabel is born in Ljubljana, the beautiful and vibrant capital of Slovenia, in 1958. Somewhat of a cultural outpost for the Balkans, between the Adriatic Sea and the Alps, it can be seen as a meeting point between East and West. Here, Zabel works as a curator and critic of contemporary art, as a publisher, philosopher, translator and author. Zabel's life and work remain closely tied to this place.
He always had some ideas and then he write down on, I don't know, old letters, newspapers.
Igor's favorite form of discussing things was a dialogue.
He was such a vivid intellectual, full of spirit and such things. He started to work internationally when he started his job in Moderna Galerija.
That was in 1986. Only 5 years later, Slovenia declares its independence and becomes the first democratic country of former Yugoslavia. While the Yugoslavian war rages around the country, the Moderna Galerija becomes a kind of nucleus of the contemporary art scenes in Eastern and Southeastern Europe, also with the help of Igor Zabel.
It was a rather typical Eastern European institution with national collection, with, not much about international art, not much about recent art, not much about contemporaneity.
I remember being very struck by his part of the Venice Biennial of 2003. So I think that was a very important step in bringing East European art into a global context on a completely equal footing.
So what we brought as the young people to Moderna Galerija is life, I think, in all terms.
He was the first person to talk about the former West, for instance. And once you start talking about the former West, you start talking about a whole other series of consequences of what happened in '89. Not only that communism ends, but actually the world changes.
Frisure! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Frisure kroile
In 1989, the world is changing, but perhaps Igor Zabel's world changed earlier. In the wild late 70s and early 80s, Zabel studies art history and comparative literature in this period of revolt and change. During this time, his conviction that art no longer works as singular art manifests.
The general idea behind his writings is that art is never growing on its own, that it's always part of broader social, political context.
Igor Zabel dies in 2005 unexpectedly at only 47 years of age. He leaves a huge life's work with hundreds of publications and an equal volume of writing.
One of the concerns of the family was that he would be soon forgotten.
We all knew that there is actually no one to replace him, or there is actually no one to directly continue his practice.
There was the idea and the thought to have something like an award or better a help for people who work in this cultural field to just make their living and working easier, which means that you basically have to give them support and money.
It was really crucial that some people really recognized that, we are worth supporting and worth talking to and worth discussing and worth collaborating.
Is here.
This award has been given in Ljubljana for the first time in the year 2008. And it has been given now for the second time to Piotr Piotrowski.
I'm pretty happy because it looks like the people are reading my books, articles, and all my writings. is receiving my ideas.
It's also to strengthen the scenes which work in this exchange of ideas and narratives is quite important to us.